Okay, so you're out there constantly swimming in this just this sea of information, right? Opportunities flying past. And you're trying to figure out what's actually worth my time, my attention, maybe even my capital. Well, today we're taking a bit of a shortcut for you, a deep dive into a really intriguing space, litigation funding. Now, it can be powerful, absolutely. But, and this is the key thing, its success really hinges entirely on choosing the right cases.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating from the source material we looked at, especially from 3Pay Global, is just how laser focused they are on exactly that point. They're very clear, they're not just throwing money at any old claim that lands on their desk. Their whole mission really is about finding claims that aren't just strong and low risk, but ones that genuinely have a good shot at winning. They need to be backed by solid evidence, clear evidence, and crucially, they have to make sense for co-funders. For you.
Yeah. Right. And that really sets up our mission for this deep dive, doesn't it? We're going to dig into 3Pay's process. It's systematic. It's multi-layered, the way they select these claims. It's quite a look at how they take something from just an initial query, run it through this whole gauntlet, really, of vetting, and turn it into something actually investable. So, okay, before a claim even gets into their main review, what are the absolute deal breakers? What gets filtered out straight away?
Well, before it even hits what they call their 3-tier filter, there's this sort of preliminary check, almost like a sniff test, you could say. They're asking some basic foundational questions. Is there a strong legal basis here? Is there enough clear evidence? Is the claimant serious? Are they cooperative? And this is critical, does the defendant actually have the money to pay if they lose, the capacity?
Right.
And they also look hard at the damages being claimed. Are they realistic? Not just pie in the sky numbers. If it's not a definite yes on all those points right at the start, it just doesn't go any further. It's their first really vital line of defense. Stops them wasting time and money on cases that are fundamentally, flawed.
That makes perfect sense. It's like weeding out the ones that might look shiny on the surface, but lack those core pillars. A crucial step, I imagine, that maybe some others might skip, thinking they can sort of fix problems down the line. Mm-hmm. Is that common, underestimating these initial checks?
Oh, absolutely. It can be tempting, right? You see a potentially massive return and you want to jump in, but you haven't done that basic homework first. As the sources highlight, this pre-screening is where you catch the non-starters. Saves a huge amount of effort and resource later on.
Okay, so let's say a case passes that initial sniff test. It's got the basics. What's the first real hurdle in their 3-tier filter? What happens there?
Right. This is where the systematic risk assessment really kicks in. Tier 1 is all about legal viability. Here, their expert legal team, and we're talking top solicitors, barristers, they do a really exhaustive review. They go through the facts meticulously. What happened? What's the actual legal strength of the argument? How does it fit with current law? It's like the legal acid test. Because, if there's a fundamental legal flaw, any money spent later is just wasted. If it won't hold up in court, it stops right there. Period.
Makes sense. You have to know if you actually have a case legally first. Yeah. So assuming it passes that, it's legally sound. What's the next critical filter 3Pay uses?
Yeah.
What kind of issues tend to pop up then?
The second tier focuses on financial viability. Now, this is about the numbers, obviously, but it's more than just how much will it cost. They project the full litigation costs, but also the likely financial return. For everyone involved, including co-funders like you, they estimate how long it's likely to take, realistically. Are there any big financial risks? Things that could cause delays and eat into the profit? It's all about making sure the maths works, that the investment actually makes good financial sense on paper. If that projected return doesn't hit their targets, if it doesn't look like a solid investment, they stop right there.
Okay, so legally strong, financially viable. But then there's the final piece, right? Maybe the most crucial, ensuring that if you do win, you can actually get the money. Right. This feels like where a lot of potentially good cases could still, fall down.
You've hit it exactly. That's the third tier, insurance and enforcement, and it's all about protection and recovery. First part is getting AE insurance. That's after the event insurance.
Right.
It's super important. It covers a big chunk of the legal costs if the case ends up losing. It's a safety net for the funder.
A crucial safety net.
Definitely. And then, equally important, maybe even more so sometimes, is enforceability. Can you actually collect the judgment from the defendant? Because even with a win, if the defendant can't pay or won't pay, well, all that effort, all that investment, it's for nothing. So only the cases that are really strong, the ones they can insure, and where they feel confident about actually recovering the money, only those make it through all 3 stages.
Wow. Okay. That is a serious filter system. But beyond just that 3-tier check, what else? What other safeguards do they have in place to make sure they're not just picking good cases at the start, but, managing risk all the way through?
Yeah, that's another interesting part. Their risk control isn't just upfront, it's kind of embedded in how they operate ongoingly. For one, they only work with top-tier legal teams, law firms, barristers with proven track records in that specific area.
Makes sense. Expertise matters.
Hugely. And they always aim to use that ADE insurance we talked about whenever they can get it. Plus, critically, they fund cases in stages, managed stages.
So not all the money up front.
Exactly. It reduces their exposure at any one time. It allows them to constantly review things and, change course if the situation changes unexpectedly. They also often get independent reviews from other legal experts, like a second opinion, completely unbiased. And they do thorough checks on the defendant before putting in significant capital. Background, financials, the works.
Okay, so this whole process we've just walked through, this really detailed vetting, the ongoing risk management, how does it connect back to, say, our listener, someone who might be thinking about co-funding as a retail investor? Does this same level of rigor apply to them?
That's a really important question, and it touches on accessibility. The source material is quite explicit here. It says retail investors can get involved, co-fund cases from a relatively low threshold, I think it mentioned £10,000, and crucially, they get the exact same benefit of all this expert screening and protection that the big institutional investors receive.
So no difference in the underlying checks?
None.
Yeah.
They state clearly they don't believe in just letting investors fend for themselves. Every single claim that appears on their platform for co-funding has already passed through that entire internal system we discussed, which, for you, the potential investor, translates directly into less risk and, frankly, more clarity. You're not going in blind. You know that claim has been pulled apart, tested, reviewed with that same high level of diligence.
Right. Okay. Let's try and pull this together for some final thoughts then. The core idea, the philosophy coming through really strongly is case quality first.
Absolutely. And if you think about the bigger picture, that's quite a statement, isn't it? About integrity, about discipline, especially in a field like this, which has high stakes. They specifically say they don't chase volume, they don't cut corners, they never skip the due diligence. Their whole approach seems built on this core belief that finding the right case, well, that changes everything. It really highlights that deep, thorough analysis isn't just, a nice to have. It's fundamental, especially when you're dealing with legal uncertainties and financial risks. It's about knowing that a solid foundation isn't just advisable. It's really the only way to get consistent results.
And that actually leads perfectly into a final thought for you, our listener. We've just spent time digging into 3Pay's really detailed, multi-stage process for litigation funding cases.
Yeah.
Very specific. But maybe stepping back, what's the kind of universal takeaway here for any big decision you might face? Financial, professional, maybe even personal.
Yeah, it does make you think, doesn't it? Consider applying that same level of scrutiny, that real picking apart, testing, reviewing to your own decisions. What if you adopted that same quality-first mindset before your next major career change? Or a significant investment you're considering? Or even, an important personal commitment? Understanding how the right case changes everything in this one specific field, well, maybe it offers some real insights into making stronger, less risky choices across the board in any field. Something to mull over.